The United States is home to quite possibly the largest cars in the world. Compared to places such as Europe and Asia, the US has absolutely massive vehicles on the whole. But why is this? Well, there's a few reasons behind it, and I'm going to go into it here on the channel for you guys. If you've been wondering why the vehicles in the US are so much larger, look at the likes of the Chevrolet Tahoe, the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, the Ford Expedition. Of course, the Ford F-150 is the most popular car in the United States. It's not really a car, of course, it's a pickup truck. And look at the size of things like Hummers as well. The GMC Hummer EV, for example, the batteries on that are as large as the average Honda Civic. Yes, the entire Honda Civic is as big as the batteries in that vehicle alone. And in fact, these cars on the whole are getting bigger as well. The overall footprint, i.e. the area of the cars that is taking up on the road, has expanded around 6% over the 15 years between 2008 and 2023, leading to the biggest cars ever, even bigger than the massive cars we used to see in the 50s and the 60s in the States. And it's all to do really with two big factors. Well, three maybe, but two main ones I would say. The main one is, of course, fuel. Gas in America is very cheap compared to the rest of the world. Of course, people in the States right now will be complaining about the price of gasoline over there. However, on the whole, it's a lot cheaper than the rest of the world. For example, if you compare the gas prices in America to petrol prices in Europe and in other countries, it's a stark difference. On average, in 2024, the average gallon of gas in the United States cost just under $4, around $3.75. But if you can compare that into the UK, it's around $7 per gallon. In Singapore, just over $7. Or if you go to Hong Kong, for example, that is over $12 per gallon of fuel. Now, of course, this is hard to compare sometimes because a lot of people just look at the prices and think, oh, that's not too bad in Europe. But remember, in most of the rest of the world, we measure our fuel in litres rather than gallons. I think there's like 4 or 5 litres per gallon. So that does make it very stark when you actually look at the difference there. On top of that as well, it's also the perception that you're getting more car for your money, and also bigger cars are safer. Now, ironically, the bigger cars is safer thing doesn't really help other people. If you're in a big car and you crash into a small car, then of course the small car is going to be in a world of hurt because of the increased momentum of a bigger and heavier vehicle. But you, in your car, when you're looking after yourself, you will be safe. That is the perception. That is not always the case. Obviously, safety systems have to still be good even in big cars, and obviously for small cars as well. But of course, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy on top of that too. If you've got a bigger car, or your friend has a bigger car, you want to have a bigger car as well. You want to show that you have a safe car. You want to be perceived to being sensible, especially if you've got a family as well. You know, you're really going to take your kids in a Renault Clio to school. What are you doing? Get this big Hummer instead. It's much safer. That kind of plays into it as well. And the final real reason for a lot of these cars being so big is that the roads in the United States are a lot bigger. Now, ironically, and I covered this in another video a while ago on the channel, bigger roads actually make things less safe for a number of different reasons, which we're not going to get into in this video. Check that out if you've not already, of course. At the end of the day, bigger roads do accommodate bigger cars. There's more space for them. You can't really drive a Hummer here in Europe. It's just too big. It's impractical for a lot of roads, and even relatively large SUVs for this part of the world do struggle around a lot of roads in countries like the UK where I am. But if you were to try and get a massive Cadillac or a huge 1950s, 1960s kind of car around these roads, it's really, really difficult. It's very narrow. In the States, the roads are a lot newer. A lot of cities were designed around the car. That is not always the case. Obviously, cities such as New York and Boston on the East Coast were not designed around the car. A little bit more tricky to get around. But especially as you go out further west, with the exclusion of places like San Francisco, you know, you've got really, really wide, long roads and these big distances as well. And another thing on top of that, the final point really is electric vehicles. That is really hammering home how big these cars are, because how fuel efficient effectively, I mean, there's no gas in them at all, but obviously the efficiency of these electric motors does mean that now size actually means less than ever before, and you also need a lot of space to store these batteries too, hence why you need bigger cars. So there's a lot of different factors at play here. You know, you've got the fuel prices, you've obviously got the safety, the perception of getting more money, more value for money effectively, and also on top of that too, the roads too. The roads are accommodating bigger vehicles. That kind of contributes to a perfect storm of having probably the biggest vehicles in the world on average, definitely up there with the top. But what do you guys think? what car do you own? Do you own a large car? Would you say it's the way to go? Do you prefer having a big car or a small car? I want to hear what you have to say in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And I hope you have a fantastic day ahead, guys. See you very soon for much more content like this.